Hi guys, Darth Deuces here, back with another top 10 video, and continuing on with my top 10 of 2021, we are counting down my top 10 favorite Transformers figures of 2021. This list, again, pretty simple. Basically, it has to be a transforming Transformers figure. It can be third party or official, and had it been released in 2021 or pretty close to it. And that's it. But in front of you here are just some honorable mentions I wanted to shout out. Of course, the War for Cybertron trilogy, Kingdom, was the big thing this year for Generations, and they brought out a ton of awesome figures. I really like that Earth Mode Sideswipe. That's a really good figure. And you might be surprised to see Dinobot on the honorable mentions, not on the list. I know that figure's probably on a lot of people's list. It's a great figure. There's just a bunch of other figures I just end up liking more than that figure. But it's a great one. Studio Series put out some pretty great stuff. I feel like we didn't get nearly as many Bay movie and Bumblebee movie figures as previous years. Obviously, this year was big for Studio Series 86. It's coming out and doing G1 86 movie figures, which is really cool. But there were some nice ones that came out. The Dino figure I wasn't even going to bother picking up, but it's really nice. I really like it. And the new Sideswipe that came out recently, I never got the previous release. I think this one just looked great. I think it has better paint than that other one. Everything, I think it's just a really cool figure. A nice upgrade. I had the original Revenge of the Fallen Sideswipe. I still have it. And that's a cool figure, but this new one's a definite upgrade. It's really nice. And then that Bumblebee Starscream, one of those figures I picked up, and it actually genuinely surprised me how much I like it, because I was expecting just a pretty basic remold of Blitzwing, and even though they look very similar in robot mode, they're pretty much two completely different molds. Starscream transforms completely differently. Obviously, you have that Cybertronian Tetrajet mode. I really like the robot mode. The head sculpt, the paint looks great. Accessories pretty good. Articulation's great. He's nice and big size for a Voyager, so he's really awesome. A couple of problems, like he just didn't make the list. I wish you could put the null arrays on his forearms. That's a big thing. But aside from that, he was really cool. And then lastly, the big one here you see here, I can't remember the company, but it's basically a fourth party figure. It's a knockoff of the third party Unique Toys, what they call that, Dragoon, which was a Masterpiece style take on the Last Night Megatron. This one slightly downsized it to make it a little more scale accurate, gave it a bunch more paint, redid the head, and I think it's a super awesome figure. It's probably one of the best looking figures in my entire collection. The paint and sculpt is just super awesome. The light up effect on the eyes is really bright, even in well lit rooms. It still stands out. It really breathes some life into the head sculpt. The cannon lights up as well. He's got a sword he can mount on his back or put in his hand. Individually articulated fingers, his shield. The only thing that's keeping off the list is because it's a knockoff of a third-party figure, there is some quality issues. Unfortunately, a good chunk of the joints are pretty loose. The knee joints are really loose, which makes him hard to stand. His shoulder joints could be better. And it just makes him not a very fun figure to pose and mess with. He's pretty much get him in a cool pose and then put him on the shelf and then don't mess with him again for like a month until you decide to change the pose. And I like Transformers figures that are fun to mess with, so he's really nice looking. I really like it, but didn't quite make the top 10. Anyways, that's enough of these honorable mentions. Let's move on to the actual list with number 10. So number 10, I am going to cheat a little bit. It's two figures on this list, but they're basically the same figure, just repainted and slightly remolded. It is the Kingdom Voyager Optimus Primal and the Buzzworthy Bumblebee repaint for Nemesis Primal. And this is an excellent mold. I've been wanting a Optimus Primal in my collection for a while. I don't have one, or didn't have one before this, never had the original figure. Never got any of the other versions, and then this one comes out, and I think it's just really, really good. I think your best option for a official Optimus Primal figure without going Masterpiece. And yeah, he's just really cool. Voyager, he's a little bit on the small side for Voyager, and the transformation is pretty simple. But you get a lot of cool paint, a lot of cool features. You got the swords, the articulated hands. You can bring out the arm guns from his forearms. You can flip out the shoulder cannons. Again, the skull and paint articulation's all really good. I also just really like the Nemesis Primal repaint, the jet black, the awesome bright metallic silvers and teals, and then the red, and then the awesome repainted, or not repainted, but resculpted head with the more angry looking eyes, and the full faceplate looks really awesome. So yeah, I really love this figure. It's a couple of really good releases. Up next, we have a Voyager class hot rod from Studio Series 86. And for a lot of people, this guy's going to be a lot higher on their lists. I definitely think it is Hasbro's one of their better engineered figures for sure. I think if any mainline figure deserves the title of masterpiece-like without being a masterpiece, it's this one. Super well articulated, really good engineering, a bunch of accessories. You get 2 guns, the blast effects for his arm cannon / exhaust, the buzzsaw you can put on his hand. You get the matrix, and you get an effect part for the matrix. Lots of accessories. Again, I said good articulation, great looking robot mode, a great looking vehicle mode with not much kibble going on in either mode. Even some cool built-in features. You can flip around his hand, and you have on one of them, I can't remember which one, and you can have the little fuse or welding tool he uses to rebuild Cup from the movie. And you can even open up the helmet like I have here, open up the helmet, and you can actually flip down the blue visor, which is super cool. You don't see features like that on mainline figures too often. So I know some people complain about the pricing, the price classes, and they said maybe this guy shouldn't have been a Voyager because he is basically a deluxe sized figure. But their price points, the classes aren't size points, they're price points at the end of the day. And I think this guy is worth the Voyager. He's more engineered than a deluxe. He's got more features, he's got way more accessories, and he's a super solid figure. I can definitely understand why people would have him high on their list. I just don't have a huge attachment to Hot Rod, but I'm glad. I never owned a Hot Rod figure before. I'm glad that I waited to get this one, or waited till then to get Hot Rod now. And at number 8, maybe a bit of a surprise that this guy's so high on the list, and kind of just a surprise to myself. It is, I'm using mainframe because I didn't want to bring out the Arc, but it is the Arc. The Titan class Arc is number 8. And, Titan class figure is almost guaranteed to make the list. They're awesome. Big is awesome, or at least for me. The bigger the robot, the better, or the cooler, usually. And the Arc's really cool. It's one of the few Titan classes that has like a vehicle alternate mode instead of a weird base mode or city mode. And it's the Arc, it's a toy of the Arc, which in itself is really cool. The robot mode looks great. It's based off of the Marvel Comics, The Last Autobot, which is super cool. Light piping on both figures. Of course, you get Mainframe here, who transforms into Teltran 1 that your figures, that scales with the other figures, which is really cool. And he has some other cool accessories like golden discs and a little satellite, which is cool. It's just, I don't know, with the Arc, it's just not the funnest figure in a way, or it's not the most exciting figure, I guess. When you have the Arc transform in robot mode, or even in the Arc mode, it doesn't have like much playability, much play features. He's pretty simple. The transformation is super easy. He is deluxe complexity, deluxe class complexity in a Titan class size, which simplicity is good. I have nothing wrong with simplicity. In a lot of cases, simple figures are a lot funner to mess with than super complex ones, or at least that's my personal preference. But he's really simple. There's no real play features. He's got landing gear, and you can put down the loading ramp on the back, which is cool. But he's got a bunch of turrets on the body on the hull of the ship. None of them are articulated. You can't do anything with the cannons. There's no other real play features. In robot mode, he just kind of has articulation. He doesn't have any features or gimmicks. He has no weapons. Even the hands are molded in open hands, and you can't really get a good fist, and they didn't articulate the fingers, which I think if they're not going to add other features, I think articulate fingers would have been nice. They didn't do that, which is unfortunate. But yeah, still a really cool figure for sure. I got mine for Christmas, so I'm happy either way. But yeah, it's still cool, just not quite as amazing as I was expecting it to be. I still really like it though. Next up at number 7 is Voyager class Kingdom Cyclonus. And again, another figure that will probably be higher on a lot of people's lists. For me, I don't have a huge attachment to the Cyclonus character, aside that he's cool, and I like having him to go with other characters that associate with him. But yeah, he's great. It's again kind of like Hot Rod. It's a near perfect figure. Both the robot mode and the vehicle mode are excellent. There's like no kibble or no unnecessary kibble or inaccurate kibble anywhere on either mode. Both modes are super solid. The robot mode is really well articulated. Light piping, which is becoming increasingly rare on mainline figures, comes with this gun, other translucent bits on them. It's just a super, super solid figure. I really do like it a lot. Definitely probably one of the best made figures of the year for sure. Next up at number 6, we have the Studio Series 86 Leader Class Grimlock. And yeah, this is kind of like just my Grimlock that I've wanted for a while. The only other Grimlock I've ever owned is the War for Cybertron Voyager class, which is not a bad figure, but it's kind of hollow. Has some weird kibble. Not as big as I want it to be. This one's pretty close to perfect. Really got nice size. He's bulky. He's tall. He's actually close to the old size that Leader classes used to be, which is great. Articulation's great. Transformation is fairly simple but fun to do, and you get a really nice T-Rex mode out of it. Accessories decent. The gun's cool. Wheelie is okay. He's got basically no articulation, so all you can really do is either have him ride him in vehicle mode or have him sit on his shoulder in robot mode like I have now. It would be nice if he was actually articulated, but what can you do? I also do wish he came with the sword. As you can see, I have the Fall of Cybertron sword with him. But I don't think he ever used the sword in the movie, so I guess I can't really complain about that much. But yeah, just a really solid figure. I'm not really a huge fan of the really dark see-through plate on the front that pretty much hides the Autobot logo, but what can you do? Really nice figure. And we're getting now to the top 5, and we've got the Kingdom Leader Class Beast Wars Megatron. Again, another character I've wanted a figure of for a while. And the Leader Class Megatron, Beast Wars Megatron, is really great. Maybe not entirely accurate colors, but he's got a lot of paint, great sculpt, good articulation, a nice size. He's hefty, he's large, relatively tall, that he towers over most other characters, scales really well. Do wish he came with some accessories. I don't know exactly what, but it would have been nice if he came with some more stuff, because he basically comes with nothing. I also do wish that this whole tail assembly could be removed from the forearm. It looks like it could have been super easy, literally detached at the forearm. It's not like anything complicated going on there, and they could have done that. They didn't, which is not a big deal, but it would have been cool. And also, there's just some areas like where there's soft plastic. These panels here are pretty hard to transform because the soft plastic kind of gets caught and doesn't have full clearance in the actual gap that's there. It's a little annoying, but again, not a big deal. This is a super solid figure. And yeah, basically, if you're not going to get the masterpiece, I'd be getting this one. And then at number 4, we have Kingdom Commander Class Rodimus Prime. And I'm actually kind of surprised with myself that I've ended up putting it at this high in the list. It was a figure that I always kind of had a tough time wrapping my head around the price point of being Commander Class, as he's basically the size of a Voyager class with the... but he has more engineering. He feels more like a Leader class, I'll be honest. There are some things that, elevate him from being a Leader class, where I almost agree with the Commander class price, but I don't know. It's still hard. I got mine on sale, so I could get more around it being on sale, but at full price, it's a little hard to digest. But disregarding price, I think it's an amazing figure. Nice size, bulky, good amount of complexity without being overly complex and unfun. Great paint, great articulation. Both modes again look great. The robot mode looks pretty much perfect, and vehicle mode pretty much looks perfect as well. No weird kibble anywheres. Accessories really good. He's got his rifle, the sword, matrix effect parts for his exhausts, a big old blue blast effect, a couple other smaller blue blast effects, matrix effect if I didn't already say that. And then obviously the trailer that has the big turret in it. The trailer's cool. It's definitely better than their Leader Class Optimus' trailer. This one has a lot more features. It's got accessory storage. You can store the big cannon in there. Obviously, it opens up. It's got an opening back that has these little pistons that move, which is really cool as well. You can store the matrix in his chest. Lots of really cool things going on with this figure. where ultimately I do really like it a lot. Even if I do think it maybe was a little expensive, I think it's still a really excellent release. Next up is a third-party figure, and it is the Unique Toys Challenger, which is a third-party attempt on a masterpiece, Age of Extinction / Last Night Optimus Prime. I really like this design for Optimus Prime. There's really no good official figures of this mold or of this design. I have the Last Night Voyager, which is okay, but it leaves a lot to be desired. And this figure is absolutely excellent. Now, technically this mold is not from 2021. It's older, maybe a couple of years older. But this version of it was released this year. It's the battle damaged look, which is basically, it's got the best paint apps out of the previous releases, and it also has the revised head sculpt. Yeah, just absolutely excellent. The paint and sculpted detail and proportions are all really amazing. The fact this transforms into a pretty good looking truck is also a major engineering feat. It's crazy that this thing actually transforms, because it really almost looks like it doesn't. Articulation is great. Accessories are really good. He's got his sword. You've got the shield. The shield can open up to show off the gun inside. He's got the little blade that goes on his hand. You get the large version of the Merlin staff. You also get a little tiny one that can actually insert into his chest, which is super cool. And it's just a really incredible looking figure. Really solid release. And I'm really happy to have a good version of this Optimus Prime. And on number 2, we have the Kingdom Leader Class Galvatron. And I kind of went back and forth a little bit on this guy, whether it be this high on the list, but I had to put him this high on the list. I think he's really great, and I've been wanting a really good version of Galvatron for a while, especially one that scales with the rest of my generation stuff. And I think the Hasbro just nailed this figure for the most part. Proportions are great. The size and scaling, sculpt and detail, paint, really awesome. Really awesome. A decent amount of complexity for what's arguably a pretty simple looking alternate mode. Really solid. He's got a decent amount of heft, or more heft than you'd expect, I guess. No real hollow bits, which is good. Accessories are decent, I guess if you want to count it. His cannon here, I love the chain with the matrix, that's awesome. And you also get the 2 guns that look like his ship, which are a little lame, that are definitely included just to try to justify the price point a bit, but they're still alright. Sue me. Just really good. The only real complaint I have is they gave him, for whatever reason, they gave him weird weathering on his forearms, his legs, and his torso. I don't know why they did it for this figure, but didn't do it for like any other figure in Kingdom. That makes no sense to me. But regardless of that, that is an easy fix. You can remove that pretty easily. I'll probably do that someday. But yeah, great figure. You need a Galvatron figure, look no further than Kingdom Galvatron. And then my number 1 figure of the year is, I feel a little bad making this number 1 because it was released this year, but released super late, like early December it was released. It shipped to me in December, but I didn't get my hands on it until a few days into 2022. But it was released this year, or 2021, sorry. And if I had been home and not away from the holidays, I probably would have had it in hand at the very tail end of 2021. So I'm going to count it. And I've only had it for like a couple days, but it is a super incredible figure. It's Mastermind Creations Optus Nox, which is a repaint of their previously released Optus Pexus, which is a third-party masterpiece scale version of IDW Orion Pax, I think. I could be wrong with that, but I think that's it. And I'm glad I didn't get that previous year and I got the Nemesis Prime flavor of it. One, I'm just a big fan of Nemesis Prime. I will always take different versions of Nemesis Prime, but this is just such a cool figure. Sculpt and painted detail is great. The quality is really good. The joints are all nice and sturdy. In some cases, I would say almost a little too tight. Mainly, I'm talking the knees. But this thing is probably one of the most articulated figures in my entire collection, not just Transformers, but my entire collection. And it's this articulated. But the transformation is actually pretty simple and not hard to do at all. And you get a pretty good vehicle mode. It's kind of a boring vehicle mode, but it's still pretty good. And then you get some great accessories. The forearm guns, you get 2 rifles you can hold in his hands. This awesome sword with the translucent red. An alternate head. I have the alternate head on. He has the normal head. And then you have this alternate head with a damaged faceplate. And you can see his yelling head face or mouth there, which is awesome. and you get a soft goods wired cloak with this figure. You rarely see soft goods on Transformers, obviously. But the fact that you not only get a soft goods cloak, but a wired cloak is super cool. And you get some awesome dynamic posing with the wires, all the articulation, fully articulated fingers. This is an incredible figure. He's got a matrix in his chest that you can take out. Like, yeah, this thing is super, super awesome. And I think it's, the best transforming Transformers figure I've got in 2021. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. This video's gone on long enough, so I'm not going to take up any more time. Thank you guys for watching. If you collect Transformers, let me know what your favorite Transformers of 2021 were. I'm very interested to know. And yeah, that's it for me. So again, thanks for watching, and I will see you all guys later.